Assalamu alaikum and good day to everyone. I am Juhainie Samama and I am the second reporter from Group 8. And now I will be discussing reading problem or what are the common problem faced by the learners with specific learning disabilities. So according to Bender 2007, almost 90% of learners who are diagnosed with SLD have reading problems. A learner who had a problem in terms of reading, decoding, and comprehension has decoded dyslexia. Specifically, the most common type of problem that learners encounter when it comes to reading is lack of phonemic awareness or inability to recognize and control certain sounds or phonemes within spoken words. This is because reading involves the ability of an individual to break words into their component and control a certain sounds or the phonemes within a spoken words. Meaning to say, the SLD or the specific learning disabilities or the reading difficulties are one of the most common challenges faced by learners with specific learning disabilities. According to Bender 2007, it's nearly 90% of learners who are diagnosed with SLD experience problems related to reading. This high percentage highlights how closely reading difficulties are linked to learning disabilities and how essential it is to understand the nature of these challenges. Dyslexia and phonemic awareness. So, when a learner struggles with reading, decoding, and comprehension, the difficulty is often identified as dyslexia. So, this type of learning disability related to language processing. One of the most common underlying causes of dyslexia is a lack of phonemic awareness. When we say phonemic awareness, it refers to the ability to recognize, identify, manipulate, and control individual sounds or what we called a phonemes in spoken words. Since reading requires a learner to break words into their component sounds and then blend them together to form meaning, a weakness in phonemic awareness makes it extremely difficult to read accurately and fluently. As a result, learners may struggle with sounding out words, recognizing familiar words, and understanding what they read. Difficulties in the components of reading. According to Hardman 2005, learners with SLD demonstrate varying degrees of difficulty across multiple components of the reading process, not just in one area. These components include oral reading, which involves reading aloud accurately and fluently, reading comprehension or the ability to understand and interpret what is read or what is being read, word recognition skills including identifying familiar words quickly, reading habits such as consistency, motivation, and stamina while reading. However, reading habits such as consistency, motivation, and stamina while reading, this is because reading is a complex skill that involves many interrelated processes. So difficulty in one area often affects the overall reading performance of a readers. Let us now proceed to the oral reading difficulties. So according to Salvia and Sidelki 2013 identified several common errors observed in the oral reading of learners with SLD. These errors reflect weaknesses in decoding, attention, and language processing. So this involves the omission, the insertion, substitution, gross mispronunciation, the hesitation, inversion, and the disregard of punctuation. So here, according to Sylvia and Sidelsky 2013, they identified several common errors observed in the oral reading of learners with SLD. So these errors reflect weaknesses in decoding, attention, and language processing. The omission or the learner leaves out specific words or groups of words either intentionally or unintentionally while reading aloud. When we say insertion, this is the learner adds extra words that are not present in the text or altering the text inappropriately. Again, in the insertion, the learner adds extra words that are not present in the text or altering the meaning of the words in the sentence. So the next is substitution. The learner replaces words in the passage with different words, often similar in appearance or sound. While the gross mispronunciation, the learner pronounces words incorrectly in a way that significantly deviates from the correct pronunciation. And however, the hesitation, the learner pauses for 2 seconds or more before saying a word, indicating uncertainty or difficulty in decoding. While the inversion, the learner changes the order of words within a sentence, which may disrupt meaning. And the lastly, that is disregard of punctuation. Here, the learner ignores punctuation marks, leading to inappropriate pauses, intonation, or phrasing. So this oral reading difficulties can make reading sound labored and can interfere with understanding the text. Learners with SLD may also experience challenges in social interaction. Research shows that their difficulties often stem from an inability to understand social cues, social isolation, and attention deficits and hyperactivity. So, in addition to decoding and oral reading problems, learners with learning disabilities frequently experience reading comprehension difficulties. So there are common challenges include difficulty remembering basic details such as names of characters, settings, or specific facts, which prevents them from answering simple questions about the text. Difficulty recalling the sequence of events, making it hard to explain the correct order or the chronology of a story. It's also difficult to identify and remember the main idea, resulting in an inability to grasp the central theme or message of the passage. So these comprehension problems often stem from the learner's limited decoding skills, reduced working memory, and difficulty integrating information while reading. We also have this mathematical underachievement. So students with specific learning disabilities often experience significant difficulties in mathematics. So these challenges usually appear in two major areas such as the mathematical computation and another one, the mathematical reasoning. In mathematical computation, it refers to the ability to correctly perform calculations using numbers, symbols, and basic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. It also involves the accuracy, speed, and the proper use of mathematical procedures. So learners with SLD, particularly those diagnosed with dyscalculia, may struggle with remembering number facts, for example, the multiplication tables, accurately performing calculations, retrieving numbers from memory even when basic operations are taught. Even with calculators or counting aids, these students may still find computations confusing or difficult. Mathematical reasoning, it involves the critical thinking, problem solving, and the ability to analyze and understand relationships among numbers. It also requires deciding which operation or strategy to use to solve a problem. So students with SLD often have difficulty understanding word problems, connecting mathematical concepts, choosing the correct strategy to solve problems. So as a result, they may know basic operations but still fail to solve mathematical problems effectively. According to McLaughlin and Lewis in 1990, students with learning disabilities commonly make four types of computational errors. So first, the incorrect operation. Here, the student selects the wrong mathematical operation. For example, the problem requires subtraction, but the student uses addition. Second, incorrect number fact. The student recalls an incorrect math fact due to memory difficulties. For instance, stating that 9 times 9 equals 78 instead of 81. The third one is the incorrect algorithm. Here, the student uses an incorrect procedure or applies the steps in the wrong order even if the correct operation is chosen. So, fourth one is the random error. The answer appears unrelated to the problem, suggesting confusion or lack of understanding. For example, writing 95 as the answer to 5 times 5. And also, those learners with SLD may struggle to respond appropriately in social situations over time. So these difficulties can lead to social isolation, limited peer interactions, poor development of interpersonal skills, and also attention deficits in hyperactivity. So when a learner has both conditions, the challenges can become more severe. Therefore, I guess that concludes for our discussion regarding to the reading problems in learners with specific learning disabilities. Thank you so much for listening.